There comes a moment in life, usually quiet, usually unnoticed, when a person realizes something's slipping. Not their mind, not their memories, but their strength, the firmness in their steps, the ability to rise from a chair without effort, to open a jar without trembling fingers, to carry a bag of groceries without pausing halfway. Most people assume it's just age, just time doing what it always does. But the truth is deeper than that. Behind those softening arms and tiring legs is something few talk about: muscle loss. And more importantly, the everyday foods that are speeding it up without us even knowing. You see, muscles aren't just for the young or the athletic. They are your independence, your balance, your protection from falls, your ability to walk, to rise, to reach, to live freely. And as you grow older, your muscles are no longer just shaped by what you lift. They are shaped by what you eat. Every bite matters. But here's the hard truth. Many seniors are eating the very foods that quietly weaken them, not out of neglect, not out of laziness, but because those foods are familiar, easy, trusted. They've been part of the routine for decades. They show up at breakfast, at lunch, and again at dinner, slowly taking more than they give. Let's begin with the first. Imagine a breakfast plate. The smell of sizzling bacon, perhaps a slice of sausage on the side. It's hearty, comforting. It reminds you of Sunday mornings and simpler times. But what your body sees is something different: a flood of sodium, nitrates, and preservatives. Processed meats like bacon, sausage, hot dogs, and even some deli meats contain chemicals designed to preserve shelf life, not human life. These additives increase inflammation in the body. And inflammation is like rust in your muscles. It weakens the structure, slows repair, and makes it harder to stay strong. You might not feel it right away, but day after day, year after year, that slow erosion catches up. One day, you notice it takes more effort to climb stairs. Then a few months later, you skip the stairs altogether. You reach for the elevator, then the cane, then the walker. This doesn't happen all at once. It happens with habits, with daily choices. Now imagine if you swapped that breakfast sausage for an egg, a slice of avocado, a bowl of oats with nuts. Real food, nourishing food, food that your muscles recognize as fuel, not foreign. That one change could be the beginning of something powerful. The second hidden thief? It's even more common, sweeter even, found in the tall glass of soda with lunch, the store-bought iced tea in the fridge, the so-called healthy fruit juice that claims to be natural but is packed with more sugar than your body can handle. Sugary. Drinks don't just spike your blood sugar, they steal your strength. They cause insulin levels to rise and fall rapidly, creating fatigue and weight gain. But even worse, they promote the breakdown of muscle over time, especially when not balanced by enough protein or activity. And the more sugary drinks you consume, the less room you have for water, the true elixir your muscles desperately need. But for many seniors, these drinks aren't just beverages. They're emotional companions. Something sweet to sip while watching a favorite show. A cool comfort on a warm afternoon, and it's okay to want comfort. But your comfort shouldn't cost you your ability to rise from your bed, to walk down the hall, to live without fear of falling. Even small changes, like replacing juice with infused water or swapping soda for herbal tea, can breathe life back into tired muscles. Let's pause here. This is not about guilt. This is not about shame. This is about wisdom. Because wisdom doesn't always mean learning something new. Sometimes it means finally listening to what your body's been trying to tell you all along. Your body is still willing, still ready to support you, still capable of healing, of growing stronger, with the right nourishment. You don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to start listening, and we'll continue this journey together, one bite at a time. But as we move forward, let's not forget, it's not about cutting things out, it's about filling your life with the right foods, the ones that nourish and restore. Because every choice you make is a brick in the path toward strength and resilience. Let's talk about a third food that so many of us love, but it's doing more harm than we realize. Refined carbs. White bread, pastries, chips, even that comforting bowl of white pasta you grew up on. They've become everyday. Foods so familiar, so easy. But while they fill your stomach temporarily, they don't give your muscles what they need to thrive. These refined carbs are stripped of most of their nutrients and fiber. What you're left with is a fast-burning energy source that leads to a sugar crash shortly after. When your body experiences these crashes, it struggles to repair tissue and maintain stable energy. That's why you often feel sluggish or weak after eating a heavy carb-filled meal. Your body is trying to recover from the blood sugar spike. The more refined carbs you consume, the harder it becomes for your muscles to retain their strength. The body converts excess sugar into fat, and it can even break down muscle tissue when there's not enough protein to balance it out. Now think back to your favorite meal, a sandwich on white bread or a warm bowl of pasta. You feel comforted. You feel full, but your muscles are left wanting. So how do we break this cycle? It's simpler than you think. Try to replace refined carbs with whole grains, which provide your body with sustained energy and are full of fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Whole grain bread, brown rice, quinoa, even whole grain pasta. These alternatives feed your muscles better, keeping them strong and ready for whatever you face. Wisdom in motion. Sometimes strength doesn't come from what we add to our plate, but what we remove from it. Life story, a small victory. Let me tell you about Martha, 73, who loved her morning croissant. She didn't even know why. It had become part of her morning ritual, a moment of peace with her coffee. But as the months passed, she noticed her knees were aching more. Her arms were feeling heavy, almost like she had to drag them around. A simple walk around the block left her winded. She was frustrated. She didn't understand what had changed. After all, she wasn't eating more than usual. Martha's doctor recommended cutting back on refined carbs. It wasn't an easy decision, but Martha switched from white bread to whole grains. She traded in her croissants for whole grain oats and her pasta for quinoa. Within weeks, Martha noticed a difference. It wasn't huge, but it was enough to feel like something was shifting. She had more energy to play with her grandkids. The pain in her knees began to subside, and she was able to walk longer without getting winded. But the true victory came when she realized she was doing it not just for herself, but for the future. Her body was still capable of great things. And this change, however small, was part of it. Now let's turn our attention to a quiet but insidious food: alcohol, a glass of wine with dinner, a beer with friends. These things are familiar, comforting, and often seen as a part of social life. But as we age, alcohol becomes more than just a casual indulgence. It starts to interfere with muscle health in ways that are difficult to ignore. It's not just the calories, though. Those add up over time. It's how alcohol dehydrates your body and how it interferes with the absorption of nutrients your muscles need to thrive. Alcohol has a unique ability to drain the body of the very things that keep muscles strong, like magnesium and potassium. It also interrupts protein synthesis, the process by which muscles repair and grow after exercise or activity. For many seniors, alcohol can also disrupt sleep patterns, leaving you feeling unrested. And without adequate sleep, muscles don't have the time they need to rebuild and recharge. But it's not just the heavy drinker that suffers. Even moderate drinking, a glass or two a night, can have a long-term effect on your muscles' ability to maintain strength. It's not about never enjoying a drink again, but it's about balance. 1 or 2 drinks occasionally might not hurt, but the more you rely on alcohol for relaxation or as a social crutch, the more it pulls from your muscle strength, bit by bit. Life story: finding balance. Frank, 77, enjoyed his evening glass of whiskey. It had been a ritual for him for years, a way to wind down, a way to mark the end of the day. But after he'd been hospitalized for a minor fall, he began to notice how much harder it was to recover afterward. His muscles ached more. He wasn't able to bounce back from simple exertions like walking to the mailbox. His doctor suggested cutting back on alcohol to give his body a better chance to heal. Frank hesitated, unsure of how to cope without his nightly glass. But the thought of his growing weakness motivated him to try. He began with small steps, one night without alcohol, then two. Eventually, he found himself reaching for water, or herbal tea instead. And slowly, he noticed a change. His muscles felt a little more solid. His energy was higher. His sleep quality improved. Frank wasn't perfect. He still had a drink now and then, but he found a better balance. And that, he realized, was the secret. Balance. Encouragement. Power in small choices. You see, none of this is about perfection. It's about progress. And progress comes from the small choices, the ones that add up to something far greater than we could ever imagine. Muscle loss doesn't happen because of a single bad meal. It happens because of years of little decisions. But the good news is strength is the same. It's built by small, good decisions every day. As we continue this journey toward better health and stronger muscles, let's dive into a food that often hides in plain sight. Dairy. Dairy products like milk, cheese, and yogurt have long been hailed as essential sources of calcium and protein. And for many people, they've been a staple in the diet for years. But as you age, it's crucial to recognize how your body reacts to dairy, especially when it comes to muscle strength. For some seniors, dairy can cause digestive issues, things like bloating, discomfort, or even joint pain. As we get older, the body's ability to process lactose, the sugar found in milk, declines. This can lead to inflammation, which, as we've seen, is a key contributor to muscle breakdown. But the bigger issue with dairy is how it interacts with the other foods you consume. Cheese, for example, is often high in fat and sodium. While it can provide a satisfying dose of protein, it doesn't do much for muscle repair and can sometimes do more harm than good in the long run. It's not that dairy is inherently bad, but it's important to pay attention to how it makes you feel. Some people thrive with dairy, while others find that their muscles feel stiffer, and their strength wanes after consuming it. And if you're one of the latter, it's worth exploring alternatives that are easier on your system. Plant-based milk, such as almond or oat milk, provide a non-dairy option without sacrificing essential nutrients. There are also fortified plant-based yogurts and cheeses that offer a decent amount of calcium and protein without causing the inflammation that dairy sometimes triggers. Life story, a new path to nourishment. Consider Janet, 74, who had always been a lover of cheese. She'd eat it with everything, on her sandwiches, sprinkled on pasta, melted on pizza. It was a comforting companion, something familiar and reliable. But after her last checkup, her doctor mentioned that her joints were showing signs of wear, and her muscles weren't recovering as quickly after physical therapy. Janet was advised to try eliminating dairy from her diet for a month and see if there was any change. At first, she was skeptical. Cheese had been her constant for decades. But she decided to try. She swapped her morning bowl of yogurt for almond milk, and her cheese-laden dinners became vegan alternatives, using plant-based cheeses. Within 2 weeks, she started noticing less stiffness in her joints and fewer aches in her muscles. She didn't feel as sluggish. And while the change wasn't instant, she felt lighter, not just in body, but in spirit. By the end of the month, Janet felt like herself again. Her muscles weren't as tight and she had more energy to enjoy her walks around the neighborhood. She had found a new way of nourishing her body, one that supported her muscles and joints without causing unnecessary strain. This story shows us something powerful. It's not about denying yourself what you love, but about listening to your body. Sometimes it tells you to try something new. It tells you to be open to other foods, and even if you've never thought of them before, your body deserves to be heard. Not only are these changes beneficial for muscle strength, but they also enhance your overall well-being, giving you more time, more energy, and more freedom to live the life you want to live. Now, let's talk about one more common food that many seniors are still consuming, often without realizing its impact on their muscles. Fried foods. Fried foods are a staple in many homes, often appearing as a treat or indulgence after a long week. But these crispy, golden brown dishes, from fried chicken to French fries and even fried snacks, are packed with trans fats and unhealthy oils. These fats don't just raise your cholesterol, They promote inflammation throughout your body. The more fried foods you consume, the more fat accumulates in your muscles, leading to reduced muscle mass over time. But what's the alternative? It's simple. Instead of frying, consider roasting or grilling your foods. Oven-baked fried foods are a healthier alternative, crispy, flavorful, and without all the harmful fats. You can even use air fryers to get that crispy texture, with much less oil. Remember, it's not about removing joy from your meals. It's about giving your body the best opportunity to stay strong. You can still enjoy your favorite foods, just in a way that feeds your muscles instead of weakening them. Life story, a second chance. Take a moment to think about Walter, a 71-year-old retired firefighter who loved his fried chicken. Every Sunday, his family would gather around the table for a large meal, with crispy fried chicken being the star. It was a tradition. It felt like home. But as time passed, Walter noticed he was feeling more and more stiff. His knees creaked with every step, and his energy seemed to drain quicker than it used to. His doctors told him that his muscles were weakening and that fried foods were contributing to the issue. Walter didn't want to give up his family tradition, but after some consideration, he decided to try a change. Instead of frying, he roasted the chicken with a little olive oil and seasoning. The result? A flavorful, crispy skin that satisfied his craving for his favorite meal, but without the fatigue and muscle strain afterward. Walter didn't just gain a healthier body. He gained back something else: his ability to participate in his family's activities without feeling weak or worn out. He could pick up his grandchildren without worry. He could still play his favorite games and enjoy the things he loved. It wasn't about completely changing his life. It was about adjusting, and that adjustment gave him more than just strength, it gave him freedom. As we close out this section, I want to leave you with one final thought. You don't need to make huge, overwhelming changes all at once. It's about small steps that add up. Small, thoughtful choices. One meal, one ingredient at a time. Your muscles are asking for the right foods to keep them strong, and in return, they will carry you further than you might imagine. The next meal is always an opportunity to nourish, to repair, to strengthen, and to give your body the gift of feeling its best for many years to come. As we wrap up this journey, I want to remind you of something important. It's never too late to take control of your health. You may not have the same energy or strength you had in your younger years, but that doesn't mean you're out of the fight. Your body is resilient. It's capable of remarkable things. And each choice you make, the foods you choose to eat, the habits you decide to form, they can shape the next chapter of your life in ways you never thought possible. In this final section, we're going to explore something that ties everything together: hope. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the changes that come with aging. Your body doesn't bounce back like it used to. You might have to take things slower. But that doesn't mean you have to give up. You don't have to settle for a life that's weaker, more fragile, or full of limitations. In fact, you can start right now, today, to make changes that will build your muscle strength and restore your vitality. It's about making the right decisions, not just for today, but for tomorrow, for the life you want to continue living. Life story, a full circle. I think of Eleanor, 80 years old, who came to me a few months ago feeling tired, stiff, and discouraged. She was tired of hearing people tell her that this is just what happens when you get older. She wasn't ready to accept that. After listening to her, I recommended a few changes. Nothing extreme, just small, thoughtful changes. Swapping out refined carbs for whole grains, cutting back on processed foods and replacing them with real, wholesome ingredients, drinking more water. Gradually, she made these changes, even though it was difficult at first. Weeks went by, and Eleanor began to notice something. Her muscles were starting to feel more responsive. Her legs didn't ache as much. She felt lighter on her feet. She could walk further than she had in months, without feeling out of breath. And one day Eleanor called me. She told me she had walked around the block twice, something she hadn't done in over a year. She had gone to the market on her own and carried a bag of groceries home. It wasn't just the physical strength that returned, though. It was the confidence, the feeling of being able to take care of herself, to live without limitations. Eleanor had turned her story around. She found her strength again, not by wishing for it, but by nourishing her body step by step, meal by meal. The final thought: you don't have to be like Eleanor. You don't need to make huge, drastic changes right now. Start small. Maybe it's eliminating one processed food from your diet. Maybe it's replacing one sugary drink with water. Maybe it's replacing that nightly snack with something that fuels your muscles instead of breaking them down. The choices you make today may not pay off tomorrow, but they will pay off. They will carry you forward into the next chapter of your life, a chapter where you can enjoy more walks, more time with family, more moments of joy without worrying about your body's limitations. Muscles are made by the choices you make. Each meal is an opportunity for nourishment. Each step forward is a testament to your strength. And so, I leave you with this reminder. You are not defined by your age. You are defined by your strength, your resilience, and your will to keep going. Keep nourishing your muscles. Keep making small, empowering changes. Because you are stronger than you think. If this story moved you, share it with someone you care about.